What has happened in 1 year of GDPR so far, and what impact did it have on businesses?
So what I observe is that GDPR had a tremendous impact on how organizations think about organizational accountability. And I think it's driving the right discussions. There are unintended impacts, I think, in particular on small and medium-sized entities, so not so much affecting like the big companies who are used to build strong programs and also have the resources to understand the laws and apply it. I would say, though, for all industries, what we need to have is a better discussion about consent relative to the other legal basis, in particular legitimate interest. And in the healthcare sector in particular, we see the loss of the benefit of harmonization through GDPR because we have competing laws being a regulated industry. And these laws are being applied by different players, so health authorities, ethics committees, data protection authorities, and they're not being applied consistently throughout Europe, and the laws also vary across Europe.
What are the topics that should be discussed?
I think it's important to discuss the role of consent versus the other legal basis. So for many people in the public, at least this is what I experience when I speak with friends, GDPR is still a consent law. But it's not. It's really about balancing interests. So it has at its core the question of, is a certain data use beneficial to society? Does it advance science? And these are very relevant questions. So where does the right of self-determination end? And where does it start to impact other interests?
And how do you predict the GDPR's development in the future, and what would your advice be?
I believe that we need to look at the derogations again. So there are broad derogations for member states. I mean, we've seen very impressively today the chart that the deputy EDPS showed with regard to age of consent, which is really a patchwork, and there's no reason, as you pointed out, why in the Czech Republic it should be different than in Slovakia, or why it would be different in the Netherlands and in Belgium, different in France. So these consensus that we need to build around parental consent, but also around healthcare. So how do we want to use big data in healthcare? How do we want to leverage this wealth of data for innovation, while of course preventing harm from the individual? I mean, those are the discussions that we need to tackle, and they are expressed in the derogations in the law.